Hi YouTube, this is DaisyPapa8989 over here, bringing you my latest Yu-Gi-Oh deck profile update. I'm bringing you today my new Miracle Gemini deck. I decided to build this deck after selling my 6 Samurai deck, mainly because I just got bored of my Samurai deck, mainly because it just basically does the same thing over and over again, so it just got boring very quickly. So without further ado, let me show you the build. Here we go. First up is 3 Elemental Hero Neos Alias. These are your main targets for your Gemini Sparks. They are 1900 beaters that can get over pretty much nearly every 4-star monster, and they're your targets that provide you your Elemental Hero fusions for when you use Miracle Fusion. So, really good card to run. Definitely have to run 3. Next up is 2 Thunder King Rhinos. These are your anti-meta cards of the deck. Prevents your opponent from searching out cards from their deck, and you can tribute them to negate their monster special summon. So, really good card. 1900 attack points makes it a really buff monster, so really love this card. Working out really nicely. Next up is 2 Snowman Eaters. These are the monster destruction cards of the deck. Once flip face up, destroy face up monster. It's 1900 defense, allows it to pretty much sit on the field since a good majority of 4-star monsters can't get over 1900 defense. So, really awesome card. Loving it at 2, and allows me to make my absolute zeros when I use Miracle Fusion. So, awesome card to run. Next up is Cyber Dragon. Free 2100 beater special summon, allows you to make your Chimeric Fortress Dragon when you go up against Karakuris or gadgets, and allows you to pretty much bait out your opponent's trap cards when you summon him. So, awesome card to run. I would run 2, but I just don't have the room for a second one. Next up is Crusader of Endymion, running this to provide an extra target for Gemini Spark and to add more consistency for it, and it is working out pretty nicely. Its 1900 attack provides makes it a good beater, and just makes it an overall good card. Next up is Elemental Hero Stratos. Common sense to run it, search out your Neos aliases, and if you want, blow up your opponent's back row. Really good card to run. Next up is DD Warrior Lady. Love this card. This is probably my favorite monster of the deck. Pretty much, I just love attacking my opponent's face-down monsters, and if I see if it's a Sangan or Dandelion, I just remove it from play so they don't get their effect. So, really awesome card. Love this card. Definitely would run more than one if I could. Next up is Honest. Since I run so many light monsters, it would make sense to run Honest in the deck. Allows you to get over bigger monsters and push for more damage, and also push for game at times, and which makes this a really good card to run. Next up is Gale. Basically allows you to get over bigger monsters and pesky monsters such as Stratos or 6 Samurai Shian, and allows the deck to Synchro Summon, which is a really good aspect that is part of this deck. Lastly, for monsters is Effect Veiler. Negates your opponent's monster effects and can basically disrupt their plays and big pushes, and pretty much turn the duel around in your favor, which is extremely important nowadays since Hybrid Librarian is out, and this can pretty much save you, stop your opponent from plussing like crazy off of it. Next up are the spells. 3 Gemini Spark. Common sense to run these. Basically, these are your destruction cards of the deck, and allows you to draw cards as well. So you got to run 3. Next up is Pot of Duality. Your other half of your draw engine of the deck pretty much adds consistency to the deck. I would run 3 if I could, but I can't afford a third one. And I'll show you another spell card which I run in place of a third duality that's working really nicely. Next up, Miracle Fusions. Basically, this deck would just be playing light beatdown if you didn't run Miracle Fusions. Basically, it allows you to make big pushes for game, summon Absolute Zero or Hero of the Shining, and pretty much maintain field presence. And pretty much that's it. Really awesome card to run. Definitely love it at 2, and it's working perfect. Next up is 2 MSCs, Back Row Destruction, really important. And next cards are pretty much staples for any deck. Monster Reborn, Giant Trunade, Dark Hole, and Monster Reborn. Really good cards. You have to run these cards in any deck, and nowadays, no reason why not to run these. Next up is Future Fusion. I'm running this over the third Pot of Duality, and it's working out really good. Allows me to set up my graveyard for Miracle Fusion and put extra pressure on my opponent since they know that Absolute Zero is on its way, or E-Hero the Shining, and they need to waste resources to get rid of this, or put their own monsters at danger if they leave this on the board. So, really good card to run. Next up is Rhoda. Search out for your warriors. Common sense to run this. And lastly, E, Emergency Call. Search out for your heroes. Really good card to run. Next up are the traps. 2 Solemn Warnings. Staples to run. Gotta run 2 if you got them. Torrential Tribute. Good card to run. Dimensional Prison. Good card to run. Allows you to get over those pesky Stardust Dragons and Card Troopers, which a lot of people are starting to run nowadays. Next over is Solemn Judgment, stable to run. Bottomless Trap Hole. A lot of people run a second D Prison over the Bottomless, but I like Bottomless Trap Hole a lot, so I'm running this instead of second D Prison. And if it's dead against an opponent's deck, I can always just side it out for another trap card. So overall, pretty good card. Next up is Royal Oppression, best trap card of the deck. Pretty much slows your opponent down to your level, and basically locks out a good number of decks from making their big plays. So, awesome to run it. I would run more than one if I could, but then I would get disqualified at tournaments. Next up is 7 Tools. Negate your opponent's counter traps and pesky trap stones. Really good card to run. And next is Mirror Force, staple to run. And lastly, Fiendish Chain. I'm running this over a second Veiler, and so far this is testing well. I can see why a lot of people are liking this card, and see why this card is starting to go up in price. If you guys got Fiendish Chain, give it a shot. Don't underestimate the value, the power of it. Next up is the Extra Deck. First up is Dragon Knight Draco Equest. Really good card. I run Super Poly in my side deck, so basically I side those in whenever I face off a deck that makes Dragon Synchros a lot, so really good card to fuse into. Next up is Chimeric Fortress Dragon. Since I run Cyber Dragon, common sense to run this. Next up is Elemental Hero Gaia. Really good E-Hero fusion to make with Super Poly when you face up against Scraps or any other monster, or potentially Samurais or any other deck that summons pesky Earth attribute monsters. So use Super Poly and then go into him. So really good card. Next up is two Absolute Zeros. These are basically your Varghekis of the deck. Pretty much when it leaves the field, it blows up all your opponent's monsters, and it's a 2500 beater, so really consistent card to run. Next up are your 3 E-Hero the Shinings. These are your other E-Hero fusions. Basically, allows you to recycle your E-Heroes with Miracle Fusion, and since when this goes to the graveyard, you can, from the field to the graveyard, you can select up to 2 remove from play E-Heroes and add them back up to your hand. So, really awesome card to run. Definitely have to run 3. Next up is Stardust Dragon. Common sense to run it. Red Dragon Archfiend, Scrap Dragon, Colossal Fighter, really good card. Black Rose Dragon, Gaia Knight Force of the Earth. Awesome generic 2600 beater, allows you to get over Stardust, and legendary 600 Shen, really good card. And last but not least, Bryanak, common sense to run that. Alright, that's the build, YouTube. I appreciate some feedback on the deck. Tell me what you think of it, and comment, rate, subscribe, and enjoy, and peace out.